Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Hope you all have been well. Just to quickly recap, the cooling system has been pushing out coolant into the overflow tank and not sucking it back in when it cools. Coolant temps on track have always been stable in the 190s, and there has been no evidence of any white smoke or blue smoke from the exhaust, so I wasn't too worried. I thought maybe, just maybe, the radiator cap was bad. Maybe it was allowing coolant to push through into the overflow, but not allow coolant to re-enter the system. So I replaced the Skunk 2 cap with a proper Koyo cap when I got to the Ozarks. Throughout that event, the cooling system continued to push coolant into the overflow. Unfortunately, the radiator cap wasn't the problem. Of course, it couldn't be that easy, right? Fast forward to the next weekend, we found ourselves at Gingerman Raceway with GPS track time. On the third session of the day, the coolant temps spiked at 234 degrees towards the end of the session. Looking back at in-car video, I was fortunate that I caught it within one lap. It appears that the coolant temps began to climb on the exit of turn 2, peak at the exit of turn 3, and began to drop back to normal temps before turn 7. By the time I had gone through turn 10, the temps had began to climb again, but also I had finally looked down to check coolant temps and was absolutely freaking out. As we begin to inspect the issue, we found non-stop air bubbles and traces of engine oil coming out of the cooling system. We had assumed that it was either a head gasket or, worst case scenario, the notorious B20 cylinder wall crack. During the teardown of the engine, I was praying that it wasn't a cracked cylinder, but unfortunately, that's exactly what it was. Not just in one cylinder, but every single cylinder had a crack. At the time I found the problem, I was 3 weeks out from my next event at Mid-Ohio with NASA. At the time of making this video, I'm currently 2 weeks out. I was immediately on the phone with Charlie to figure out a game plan to get this car back up and running in time for Mid-O. At this point, everyone, and I mean everyone, has been telling me to go K. I know. Going K is the most sensible option, especially with B-Series parts getting harder and harder to obtain, but a K-swap is definitely not the most practical at the moment. I need to have this car on track in 3 weeks. There's no way I'll piece together a K-swap while being conscious of my budget within that amount of time. Keep in mind that I travel for my full-time job as well. It's just not realistic at the moment. What does make the most sense is to put together another B-Series short block utilizing some spare parts that Charlie has laying around. He is an engine builder after all, and was 100% on board with helping me to get back on track. The only difference this time around will be using a B18B1 Integra LS block with a much more robust cylinder design than the B20. We had a plan, we just needed to execute it. Just 2 days after the diagnosis, I found myself 6 hours away from Chicago in Charlie's garage in Minnesota. I brought the cylinder head with me and we had it checked for straightness at Dan's home shop. We found no issues with the head, so no machining was required. Within one entire day, we had a 75% assembled long block. I just needed to get back home to transfer all of the auxiliary components from the old engine to the new. For now, enjoy some engine building mastery from the man himself.